So I would say that the biggest concerns that I had were revolved around classroom management. So traditionally in a lot of STEM type projects you're given some sort of challenge, and that challenge is pretty well defined. You can prepare for that challenge intellectually and physically in terms of equipment and things like that. But the nature of the Red Rocks Community College Innovation Challenge was that it was very open-ended, and the whole idea is that students were identifying their own problem that they wanted to address. So as a teacher, being prepared for those students and all the ideas that they might come up with, equipment-wise, and just being able to advise them intellectually on what ideas they might have was pretty concerning for me rolling in. I'd say the other big challenge that I faced or was really concerned about was whether or not my students were going to be up to the task of defining a problem and how I was going to actually teach that skill set, because it's not something that I had necessarily taken on in the past.
My students had a lot of great ideas, but they were convinced that their ideas didn't need to be tested. And so the challenge that they faced was having to go out and find people and pitch their idea. And after having pitched their idea, when they came back and they're like, well, we got some feedback and it wasn't what we expected. So they weren't used to having their ideas challenged and then having to go through that process again of re-identifying their problem and really narrowing down what they were focusing on. My biggest concern was my background, not having a design background, not knowing what I needed to know to help my students succeed at the design challenge. And then my other concern was my students having enough time to adapt to a project. A lot of my students aren't used to working in teams, so that was another one of my big concerns, is how are the kids going to do together. Problem solving is a difficult thing to be willing to work through, so that was something that I walked away with, was more tools to how to solve problems, even if they're not related to design, but being able to apply the design process to a lot of different things.
So I would encourage other high schools and teachers to join the Red Rocks Community College Innovation Challenge for a lot of reasons. Number one, it provides structure to your class. It gives you a really great real-world project that you can give to your students that really allows them to kind of connect entrepreneurial ideas along with engineering and design ideas and make them understand that STEM and engineering is really more than building bridges and designing robots and things like that. These have real applications for real people and real problems. And number two, working with the Red Rocks team, both Jeremy and Liz have been completely fantastic. They've provided a ton of support for me as the instructor in the room, as well as providing support for my students. There were multiple times that the Red Rocks Community College students came into my classroom and mentored my students and provided feedback on their ideas. And that kind of interaction with the organizers of this competition is really something that is unprecedented by other organizations.